if you want to, we'll freeze your eggs when you're 18. I'll pay for you to get your eggs frozen so you don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
Is it a thoughtful gift to freeze somebody's eggs on their 18th birthday?
Paradoxically, it says if you're not going to have them at 18, you better freeze your eggs. That would make me panic.
Can you see a world where more parents are doing that?
I think
We have been doing Sundays wrong. The French have been doing it right.
Of course they have, because the French do things right.
I recently came across an article in the Zoe report that pretty much said that we should be adopting the French Sunday.
I looked at the list of how to have a French Sunday. Do you want to hear what it involves?
it's sounding to-do listy.
But it's like non-strenuous to-do list.
Non-strenuous.
Okay. There was an essay published in The Cut over the break called In 2026, We Are Friction Maxing.
When I read this article, I felt so confronted.
I don't think you should be in the least bit embarrassed. I think that's the whole point of this, is that everybody's living like that. Hello and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are actually talking about on Friday, the 16th of January. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Em Burnham.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
And here's what's on our agenda for today. The last episode of our first full week of the year.
Yes.
It's been great. Today, I'm bringing us the latest stupid thing that a celebrity dad said that upset everybody. What was it stupid? That's what we are going to unpack.
Yes.
Plus
it was.
our Reccos that we've been loving over the break. I'm very excited to share mine with you.
And apparently 2026 is the year of friction maxing. What does that mean? And are some of us already doing it? Out Louders, don't keep putting off starting your passion project. Squarespace makes it easy with Blueprint AI to build a custom website that perfectly fits your brand, while their new pay links make getting paid a breeze. Go to squarespace.com/OutLoud10 for a free trial and use OutLoud10 to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
But first, in case you missed it, we have been doing Sundays wrong. The French have been doing it right.
Of course they have, because the French do things right.
They do. I recently came across an article in the Zoe report that pretty much said that we should be adopting the French Sunday, also known as the dimanche.
Oh, you looked that up.
I did look it up. I was like, surely there's a word for this. And it's
Out
dimanche.
Louders, French out louders and out louders of French descent.
Yeah.
May we apologise.
Maybe we apologise, especially if ChatGPT completely lied and it means something completely different. So it's the idea that Sundays are meant to be lazy, stress-free, filled with doing nothing. We don't do that over here.
No.
Sundays are for admin. They're for doing our taxes. They're for doing our shopping.
Meal prepping.
And this is why we need to adopt the French Sunday, because now in France, Sundays are seen as like a day to enjoy during the week, not a day of dread.
And they have always seen the day as sacred. I saw that from like 1906 or something. It was enshrined in law that you can't open your shop. You can't which has Christian roots, Catholic roots, but it's also got roots in like the union movement, and it was like you can't force someone to work a Sunday. Whereas the rest of London is buzzing on a Sunday. Everything's open. Go out to lunch, go out and like enjoy yourself. But I kind of love the idea that the entire country takes a deep breath. The idea is that you stroll through Paris or your like countryside and just relax rather than frantically preparing for the week ahead.
Do you still get Sunday? I get anxious on Sundays. As the morning wears on, I start going, all the things I've got to do. Right. So I need to reset my mind. I looked at the list of how to have a French Sunday. Do you want to hear what it involves? So wake up late and maybe buy a croissant.
Oh. Yeah, I liked the bit about the croissant. That was nice.
Do not touch a to-do list in any way. Enjoy some gentle self-care. Brush your hair slowly. Put on moisturizer slowly. Stretch slowly.
This is all sounding a lot like a to-do list.
Take off the pajamas and leggings unless they're Eres, which is, I think, a fancy brand. Apparently, you're not allowed to slob around. Even though this is a French lazy Sunday, we're not slobbing.
Oh.
Apparently, you're allowed to wear a cotton shirt and soft jeans.
Yeah.
That's what you're allowed to
wear.
You
got to let her breathe.
You're not gonna. This isn't going to work with you. But take off the pajamas and leggings. Have a proper Sunday chicken roast and forget about brunch forever. Apparently brunch is seen as being quite stressy and like, to be seen.
Yeah, and it's also like you've got to be there by a certain time to meet someone, and then all of a sudden you're rushing.
And then if it's bottomless brunch, you're like, I need to get as many drinks as possible in here.
Exactly,
it's stressful.
which is really actually stressful. I also read Make Love.
Yes, that was on the list. It says, pretend all establishments are clothes, wander aimlessly on purpose, read a book, and make love.
Which again, it's sounding to-do listy.
But it's like non-strenuous to-do list.
Non-strenuous love. You've got to have a very specific kind of sex on Sunday, I think.
Maybe just starfish it.
Yeah.
Easy like Sunday morning. Just as easy as possible. I'd just be lying here. Thank you. I do like the idea that we've talked a lot about how we need to kind of reclaim rest a bit. But the problem with this is like, who's cooking the roast chicken? And I don't know very many women who find cooking a roast that relaxing.
No, and then I saw like, I just take my children down to the markets. And I was like, that doesn't sound restful at all.
You wait till the shops are open, then you just get the bachelor's handbag and you bring it home.
That's true. And barbecue chalk.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think we should reclaim our day of rest.
Have we eliminated too much friction from our lives? There was an essay published in The Cut over the break called In 2026, We Are Friction Maxing. And the argument goes that tech companies have led us to believe that everything from reading to talking to moving to leaving the house to cooking dinner to replying to texts, all of it is simply inconvenience. These are all frictions which tech companies have designed the ability to eliminate. And deep down, we know that eliminating every inconvenience in our lives is bad for us. It feels bad for us, yet we all do it. So writer Kathryn Jezer-Morton says she is building up tolerance for inconvenience. That is what her year is all about. No more using ChatGPT, saying, I've got a few things in the fridge, what should I make for dinner? She says she is inviting people to her house, but she is not properly cleaning it before they get there. She wants to ask a friend for advice rather than the internet. What do we think about this? Because on the surface, I read this article and it really impacted me, and I kept trying to tell friends about it over the break. And they were like, so the whole article is just about making your life a bit harder. And I was like, no, but there's something to it that feels important and meaningful. Is 2026 the year we lean more into friction? What do we think?
I agree with you. I loved this article. There's the opening part is really, as you've said, she talks about how tech companies have erased all of our little frictions. And she says, reading is boring, talking is awkward, moving is tiring, leaving the house is daunting, thinking is hard, interacting with strangers is scary, risking an unexpected reaction from someone isn't worth it, speaking at all overrated. These are all frictions that we can now eliminate easily, and we do. According to the emergent ideology of Silicon Valley, most people would prefer not to be human. They've demonstrated this through their revealed preferences in the way that they use the apps they're being sold. That is so true, because the culture, and I know it's not necessarily true on an individual level for everybody, but the culture broadly does tell us that all of those things, anything that is a tiny bit inconvenient or unpredictable, should be eliminated because it's difficult and stressful. And so the argument that we should start retraining that muscle, I think, is really good.
And we know that to struggle against something is to imbue meaning. Like anything that is ultimately satisfying. Like I'm reading at the moment a book called The Luminous Solution by Charlotte Wood, which I think you might have talked about years ago, Holly.
Charlotte Wood is amazing.
So good. And it's all about creativity, right? And it's called The Luminous Solution because it's basically saying that creativity is about solving a problem you design. And it's about playing with the problem and the darkness that comes with it and the time and the waste and the frustration and all of it. And that's why creativity is so satisfying. And creativity, I guess, is the ultimate friction. All it is friction. You're coming up against something that's hard. And a lot of these technologies offer, even in our line of work, like, there's a lot of pressure to be using AI bots or whatever to come up with your intro or your show notes or whatever it is. But I always think of like the great creatives like Michelangelo or whatever, where the struggle was the thing, not the outcome. And in that case, it's like the friction is kind of the whole point of living, right?
What do you think about the idea of making a deliberate attempt to make your life a bit harder?
It's really confronting. When I read this article, I felt so confronted because it made me kind of analyze how much of my life I've realized I've automated without actually realizing I've been doing it. And I made a little list of things that I've been doing that once I saw it on paper, I was like, that's actually wild that I do this. Wearing AirPods to go get lunch so no one talks to me, like in the elevator.
Yes.
Ordering Uber Eats on my way home while I'm in an Uber.
Yes.
I do it all the time, so I get there at the same time. And this one, what I've been doing is I've been buying gifts for friends, but without a card. Because a card is too hard. The gift part is easy because you order it online, it gets to you, you can select pre-packaged so it like comes up in wrapping.
Oh, sometimes you just send it straight to the email. There's your voucher.
Or to their address.
Yeah.
And then for me, having to go outside of work, walk 100 meters to like a card shop, buy a card and then write in the card and attach it to the gift, too much. Way too much.
It actually hurts my hand to write the card
Too
now.
much. I don't know how to write. Reading versus audiobooks. For me, I feel like audiobooks has changed so many people's lives and you can now intake so many different books. But for me, whenever I listen to an audiobook, I automatically start doing something else. Like I'm always on my phone, I'm always cooking, and then I realize I have no idea what this book is about.
Yes.
It's really interesting because your list just there, I don't think you should be in the least bit embarrassed. I think that's the whole point of this is that everybody's living like that to a point, right? Because then I realized that I have been friction maxing the last few years, not on purpose, but moving out of a big city has made my life much more inconvenient in lots of ways. And so then I started thinking about, well, has that made me happier? Are things better or whatever? So for example, where I live, the shops close at lunchtime on a Saturday and they don't reopen till Monday and that's it. If I run out of, there are no shops open after 7 o'clock. So if I run out of milk at 7 o'clock, I'm not getting milk, you know. There's no delivery, there's no Uber Eats, there's no DoorDash, there's none of that, right? So you can get Woolies ordered or whatever, but you can't do anything that's quick and immediate. And so I was thinking like, so if those kind of things, there's no Uber, I can't just order an Uber to my house. So I have eliminated a lot of those like very modern big city conveniences that are now very, just you don't even think about it. And I was thinking, but does that make me better somehow? And I was like, no, I don't think so. But what does happen is you get used to it really quickly. So you probably find that quite horrifying that I live somewhere where you can't get some milk sent over or can't.
How do you have your coffee?
Exactly. You either make a coffee or you go to the coffee shop when it's open, but it's only open at these very specific times. It sounds horrifying. And I remember when we first moved there and there was no Uber Eats and there was a pizza restaurant that did deliver at that time. I was like, what is this? But you adapt. Just in the way that we've adapted to all the convenience, you also adapt to
it's
not
like,
having it.
What does the adaptation, what is it robbing us of? Because I think it is robbing us of something. It's infantilizing us.
Well, it is. Like if I'm at home and I want to eat something, I have to make it. Right?
Yeah.
There's no other option. And
is the meal more satisfying because you made it? Maybe.
I don't mean in a Nara Smith way where I'm like rolling out the dough for my bread and churning the butter. I'm not doing that. But I do have to make the salad. I can't just order a salad bowl. And I think, yes, you probably eat more healthily and those kind of things and it is more mindful. What I can tell you is I don't miss those things. Like I did at first. And when I'm in the city, am I ordering my fishbowl? Absolutely. But I don't miss it. So what does that tell you?
Is this what we used to call character building? You know how in parenting it was like, it's what I remember from my childhood. It was like anytime friction was introduced, it was like, this is character building. We just know it's good for you instinctively. I don't even need to explain why we know it's good for you. But it reminded me of this article that I saw on Mamamia recently, which had a headline like, not depressed, just unimpressed. And it was about the experience of ennui, which is a French word for a feeling of listlessness, weariness, and dissatisfaction. And apparently this is like a quality of, it's so widespread now. Like so many people experience this.
I feel like the French have just got it together.
Oh, they've just got it together. They describe it as a deep existential boredom or a case of the blah, stemming from a feeling that life is meaningless or too easy. And I wondered if those two things are somewhat related. That if life is just you go through the motions and there's this monotony and there's no friction and therefore there's no meaning and you don't feel proud of yourself, then like...
But here's the interesting friction in that argument is, do people feel like life is easy? I don't think, you might have all this long list of like conveniences of things you don't have to do, but most people I know who are not sitting around thinking life is easy, I don't know if those things kind of...
I wonder if our muscle though...
Because I think you just find other problems.
Yeah, our muscle for discomfort and uncertainty is really weak though, right? So it's like I have found myself, and again, it's instinct more than anything intellectual, but like I have started swimming laps again, right?
Yeah.
And I said to someone, I get in the pool and I swim for 30, 40 minutes and I don't have any input. It's the only time in my day that I don't have any input. And someone was like, well, there's waterproof headphones.
That would be the anti-friction max.
And I was like, every time I walk past, I was in Officeworks the other day and I walked past them and I went, no. Like there is something that tells me, like it would be great to keep listening to my audiobook in the pool, but I'm like, there's something that tells me that the friction and the discomfort of swimming in silence is good for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And then sometimes I'll get in the car and like not put the address in maps and let myself get lost.
You can't do that.
That's too far.
Sydney Roads, I'm sorry.
There are some, it's funny because, although I'd love to know what you think about this, Jessie, because the thing is, some of this is like an anti-technology movement, which is very understandable because as this writer writes, the people who design this stuff are now the most powerful people in the world, and they're literally taking away our humanity. One thing I really noticed over the break, because I know some people are using AI heaps and some people not so much. And I had a friend come to stay who says, she does her makeup, then she puts the picture onto AI to tell her, what could she have done better? She does everything from her face to her meals to her where I put my pot plant everywhere. And I notice when I do that, when I start asking AI for advice, how quickly it feels naughty to ignore the advice. Like how quickly you feel like, oh, I'm disobeying the robot if I don't do what it says. That's interesting.
And I start losing my internal compass of like, I find it with parenting. There was that quote recently by Sam Altman, who said, it's impossible to parent without ChatGPT. And that made me feel so sick that I was like, no, I'm never asking it a question again. Because shouldn't it be more instinctive rather than every problem you face as a parent, you just plug it into the bot?
It's like, but also at the same time, I would say that thanks to ChatGPT, you don't have to deal with the anxiety and the stress of having to work it out yourself. But
isn't that the point?
But why would you want that? Like, what do you mean it's the point?
Because then what happens in life when you are thrown something stressful, which inevitably we are, which is illness or tension or a relationship breakdown or loss or whatever, my muscle for that and my sense of how to deal with that is just going to be totally depleted because I haven't faced any hardship or struggle in months. You know what I mean? Like I just think that it's something we need to practice, and the satisfaction of having done something hard and worked it out yourself. Again, it's like we've got to reparent ourselves, right? Like every day I could pick Luna up and put her on her chair that she has, but something tells me that her doing it herself and kind of nearly falling but not and getting to the top tells me that that's better for her and her own development. And so I'm like, I think that's the same for adults.
I think you're right, but then I think we need to be a little bit careful of a kind of virtue signaling about rejecting all technological advancement, because technological advancements, domestic ones, freed women, right, a lot from the drudgery of it. Used to be that if you were going to wash your clothes, that's a day-long task, right?
I'm not washing up in the sink.
All those. True. So you could argue that certain technological advances changed lives, and there are some obvious massive ones in terms of health and all those things. But even just social and domestic things that are what we're talking about, like whether it makes your life easier to make a meal or whatever, no question, have freed many, many people and lots of women. But on the other hand, I remember you talking about this a while ago when we were talking about parenting Jessie. You said, yes, but now we've just created a whole lot of other things to worry about.
Yeah.
So like the physical demands of parenting, for example, might be a bit easier because you've got all these, you don't have to hand wash all your own nappies and you don't have to make every bit of food from scratch with a pestle and mortar or whatever. But now it's like, is there enough protein in every single mouthful I'm giving? Like we've raised the bar on perfection that then we're spinning around about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wonder, but I'd love to know what people think that are the conveniences that you could never friction max.
Uber Eats, 100%.
Because I think that the GPS in your car, that one, I think that has changed.
Too many
things
people
in
are
a very
friction
good way.
maxing not using the GPS, and I need you guys to start using it.
I love the bit in here where it said, do not location share. It spoke to my very soul. She had a line where she said, where you are is none of anybody else's business and privacy is a right. And I'm like, absolutely.
Sing it.
Is everyone brushing their face? I feel like, when you see something online.
Do you mean brushing your teeth?
No, I mean literally your face.
Sometimes when I look at my face in my mirror in my car, I think it needs a brush because of how much hair I can see on it.
Well, yeah, but so when you see something once and you're like, and then suddenly it's everywhere. I know that's algorithm, but also sometimes it's just a trend. And suddenly everywhere I look, women are brushing their faces with these kind of facial brushes. And the thing that made me go, oh, is this really something that everyone is doing? Is Nikki Glaser was doing it before the Golden Globes. So she did one of those Vogue Get Ready With Me kind of beauty routines. And she's there brushing her face. And I was like, I swear I saw Hailey Bieber brushing her face last week.
Is it like a hairbrush?
It's like, it looks like
a horse brush.
What do we call the one we use for lymphatic drainage?
Like a gua sha.
Yes, but with bristles. Is this a thing that the people are doing? Em, I'm asking you because you're young and cool and beautiful.
I haven't seen a physical brush on a face as yet, but I do gua sha most nights.
And why do we do that?
Oh, lymphatic drainage.
And why are we doing that?
Because you don't want all your face to hold all the liquid. You want your face and your body to drain the liquid that it holds. Sometimes when I gua sha, I can feel it dripping at the back of my throat.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me how long that takes. This is friction maxing. This is I'm sure there's a cream you could put on that would make your face but spending the time to sit there going like that.
That is my one friction
maxing
maxing thing I do. I do it when I cleanse. So I use an oil cleanser because you don't want to be pulling your skin. And then I just kind of give my face a little massage. I did it just to make my face feel nice, to treat it.
Do you notice, honestly, a difference in how your face looks?
Not when I do it myself, but when I do a lymphatic facial at my facialist, I notice a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, my cheekbones are jutted out. And my
That's what the ladies
jawline
were
is
doing.
crisp. It's so weird. And I've had friends do it and we always take before and after photos of before the facial, after facial, and it's wild.
Because I'm feeling a bit puffy this stage of pregnancy. You get a bit puffy around the face.
Face brush.
Jawline. I think I need to start doing a face brush.
Or just use your fingers. So you get your two knuckles and you put them on either side of your jaw and you brush up to where your ear is and then down on your neck.
She's
and
a beauty guru. So they're not brushing their faces for facial hair reasons.
No.
I know Gwynnie's always been into dry brushing. That's a similar vibe.
And why do we dry brush?
For the same reason. It's about lymphatic
Circulation
drainage
and
your
stuff.
body and you brush up towards your heart.
That's too long.
That takes a while. I was going to say, how much time are we spending on the gua sha?
Oh, a few minutes. Not that long. I don't have that much time.
Face brushes are in all of our futures. Look, I feel like I'm just mentioning Dax Shepard every 5 minutes, so I'm going to...
You love this man so much.
I'm going to get through the Dax Shepard-ness of this story quickly because I think it's about something bigger.
Even I was interested in this and I'm not a Dax Shepard stan in the way that you are.
No, I know. Well, we talked about on Monday's Golden Globe show, we talked about how podcasters are becoming more and more famous and the proliferation of Dax Shepard, Kristen Bell stories are very much an example of this. And it used to be you could bang on the podcast. As we know, you could bang on a podcast of all kinds of private things and no one knew. Because the only people listening were your friends.
Yeah, 20 people.
But now they can clip it up and put it on TikTok and go, these people are mad.
And this is what happened to Dax Shepard when he talked about his 11-year-old daughter's fertility journey. So here's a little grab, just for context. again, the Dax and Monica of this is not the important part, but Dax is talking to his co-host, Monica Padman. They have a bit of their show after the interview always where they just sort of talk about stuff, what's been going on. And he is talking about his daughter, who is 11, and a conversation they had about when she wants to have babies.
So she's saying she wants to have a baby. And I said, when do you think you'll have your first child? When you turn 18?
Oh, okay.
And I want to be supportive of whatever.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. I don't want to plant any seeds that I'd be judgmental or whatever. And she said, "What? No, 18. What do you think I really?" And I said, my guess is between 35 and 45 is when I think you'll have kids. I said, and I think if you want to, we'll freeze your eggs when you're 18.
Now, the internet is mad about this conversation.
I wonder why.
A general sample of the feedback is, ew. Mm-hmm. They seem to think it's creepy. I don't think it's creepy, but anyway, my question is not about that so much. More like with technological advances in fertility. Oh, my God, this is back to friction maxing again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that or should that change the way we talk to kids about families? And if you're a parent and you can afford it, is it a thoughtful gift to freeze somebody's eggs on their 18th birthday? Or should it be a bit more freeze your own freaking eggs, love?
Or should it be a bit more friction maxing? Like having kids is friction maxing.
There's nothing but friction.
There's nothing but friction. Give the girl some friction.
But Gen Z aren't having sex.
Yeah, so they could do it in a lab. That's so true, Em. My first instinct was that I hated this. Look, having listened to it, I think sometimes comments like this are a conversation starter. I don't think it's creepy. I don't think that that's fair. But I bristled at the use of we will freeze your eggs, because to suggest that it isn't an invasive and people who have gone through it will, either consider it invasive or not. But it's a serious thing to do. Like it has side effects and hormonally, bloating and headaches and all that kind of stuff. You go under general anesthetic. I think we can treat some of these procedures as though you just click your fingers and it's done.
Yeah.
Like it is a big decision. And the other thing I didn't understand in what Dax was saying was that he was like, do you want to do it at 18? No. Well, I guess it'll be 35. What's the 17 years in between? His wife had, Kristen Bell had her babies at 33 and 34 or whatever. Even if she decided to have them at 35, she probably could. I just thought
the point is they're just saying as an insurance policy so that you can live your life in whatever way you want to with a perceived safety net about when you may not want to have kids. Is it a generous act for a parent who can afford it? In the same way they might help you with a deposit for a house or might help you buy your first car or whatever, is it now being seen as a generous act to a female child to go, I'm going to buy you some fertility freedom and I'm dying to know.
Give me the car. I want this. I remember when I think I was 22, and this is quite a personal story. I had a really bad relationship with alcohol. I was one of those kids that the minute you could start drinking, I was drinking. And I was 22 and I went to the doctor and my blood works were all over the place. He was genuinely concerned. And he said, if you keep up with this lifestyle, you won't be able to have kids.
Really?
And as a doctor. And I
Holy
was like,
shit, I dread to think what a doctor would have said to me at 22.
Yeah. And my face was literally just okay. And then he realized that was not the reaction he thought. He thought I would be crying on the ground. And I was like, there's no way I'm even thinking about kids right now. I didn't even know I could have kids right now. And just that, I remember that conversation so deeply because even now as a 29-year-old, I would most likely still have the same reaction. I'd be like, okay.
Because it's not on your radar.
It's not on my radar.
What he was saying, and again, the specificity. Thank God, Jesus Christ, of this conversation is not really the point. But what he was kind of saying, he started off saying, is that of my two daughters, one of them's really maternal. She always carries her toys everywhere. Yeah. She really talks about wanting to have a baby. So he's not just going, and the other one not so much.
But so was I when I was 11.
Of course, it doesn't mean anything. I get that. But I think the point is, is it an act of generosity? Like, is whether you want to have a baby or not have a baby, with everything that we know now that we didn't know before and the technology of it being available, can you see a world where more parents are doing that?
I think it's generosity if they ask. If money is a hurdle and it is really expensive and that is something that you're looking towards, doctors generally do not advise that 20-year-olds freeze their eggs. But if you were, a little bit later in life and it was something you really wanted to do and your parents had the means, I think then it would be generous. I worry that if it becomes the status quo or something that
privileged people
very privileged people do for their children, then it actually reinforces the biological clock sense of urgency. Like it's paradoxically, it says if you're not going to have them at 18, you better freeze your eggs. That would make me panic.
It made me feel a bit I haven't even considered having a conversation like this with my daughter, not to get too personal about my daughter, but like I don't know, but maybe that's irresponsible. This is one of the things about parenting in all its different ways is that you're supposed to have, the pressures on it, you're supposed to have prepared them for all eventualities. And why didn't your mum ever tell you about that? And why didn't someone ever tell you about that? And you're like...
Because your frontal lobe hadn't developed and it's not on your radar.
And also you just think, well... I think, aren't there things you're meant to figure out for yourself? This is an example. If it is a thing that people are doing, as I said, in the same way that parents of means can smooth the path for their kids in a way, in lots of areas of life, right, that parents who don't have means can't. This is a classic snow-plough parenting maneuver, right? That's literally, they say, I want to erase any obstacle you might find. So saying... I want to give you an insurance policy about whatever life choices you might make. You might never use them, but you might use them, is a classic snowplow move, right? And is snowplow parenting good? Like, as in, do you expect it? Do you expect your parents to make your adult life easier?
I just think with the whole egg freezing, I mean, similar to what Jessie says, if it was something that you would get maybe when you're old enough, you feel like, okay, I want to start having kids, and then your parents are like, well, we've actually put all this money aside for you to freeze your eggs. I think that is generous. But if you're going to an 18-year-old saying we should freeze your eggs now because this is when you have the most eggs, and then the 18-year-old has to go through the process of freezing their eggs, which is still quite an invasive process. When they're still like developing, when they're still meant to be
suggesting that you force it on them though.
No, but like it's even putting the thought in their head. And then if we get to the point where your friends are doing it when they're 18 and you're like, oh, I guess that's something I should be doing. It just feels like it's so colloquial, like going back to the days where it was seen as a burden to have a daughter because you're ending up spending so much money on her. I feel like that's where we're going to.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I also we all know that, like, is there a sadder kid than the kid who was given everything? Like, it doesn't end well often. And I remember having this same reaction a few years ago when Mindy Kaling came out and said, I wish every 19-year-old girl would come home from college and that the gift, instead of buying them jewelry or a vacation or whatever, is that their parents would take them to freeze their eggs.
See? It's a thing.
She said the same thing. She said, use your 20s and 30s to focus on your career and love, but have children basically when you're emotionally ready. And I understand what she's saying because the pressure is so disproportionately on women. But there's also this idea that, like, that children end your life, right? It's kind of like life has to be lived in these stages where you go, let them be young and they're going to forge their career and achieve everything they want to do. And then when you're finished with that, you can finally have children and as if life is something you can plan out that clearly.
I agree with you. And I'm a big fan of the fact that you can't. And I'm always saying that, like, I think people who make too many plans and assumptions about what chapters of their lives will look like this is the years I'll do this and this is the years I'll do that. Like, that's rarely the way it works out. But I can see a world where it might feel almost like a feminist parental act to go, I want my daughters to have a fertility freedom that wasn't available to my generation. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying I would do that or that I particularly think it's a great idea, but I can see the perspective, which is that maybe she never wants to have kids. Maybe she wants to have kids when she's 21. Like, who cares? That's entirely her business. But giving her the freedom that her brother has, because arguably he does, like I know that's a complicated thing to say because we would expect that he would be involved in any child rearing situation. But let's be honest, his life would not be impacted and derailed perhaps, or enriched in the same way. That I can see how it could seem like a feminist parental statement to go like, I'm buying you fertility freedom.
Yeah, but I think the wording has to be correct on that, because in my head, if my parents were to say, we put all this money aside for you to freeze your eggs, even if they said it like, if you want to have kids,
can I have a holiday instead?
Can I have a holiday? Can I please go away? In my head, I would just be thinking, oh, they want to have grandkids. Yeah. And that will inevitably influence my choice on whether I have kids or not.
Choice.
Yeah.
It is a clear marker of value, I suppose. Like, are you saying to an 11-year-old, one of the most important things is the freedom for you to have children, whether or not you believe that? Maybe that's true. Maybe that is true for that family. But I just think it's a lot to put on a child who, you know, by that age I hadn't even had a period. Like I hadn't wasted one egg yet.
But I don't think he's putting it on her. He just was talking about it. Like, you know what I mean? To be a little bit defensive of that, because I think people have a lot of opinions about what you should talk to kids about when. Only you know your kid and what conversations they're ready to have, right? Yeah. And I think it's a different thing if they're going, in our family, when we're 18, we freeze our eggs. I think that would be quite strange.
It is Friday and we want to help set up your weekend with our very best recommendations. Who wants to go first? Jessie?
I'm going to go first because I read a bunch of books over the break. I've got a list in my phone of all the ones I've been told to read. And then was anyone else inundated with best reads of 2025 tiles everywhere on Instagram? And so I kept screenshotting them and then I just went, all right, I've got to read Heart the Lover. It appeared in everyone whose opinion I respect. They said this was my book of 2025. And I sat down and I read it. And it was just stunning. It was one of those books that I'll always remember having read it. It's an experience. It's sort of in two parts. The first is about first love and university and the intensity of that experience. And then the second is almost a midlife reflection on it, how everything's changed.
Fabulous.
It's so difficult to even explain why it's so beautiful.
Who's it by?
It is by Lily King, who's written, I think, about 9 books. I've read another book by her called Writers and Lovers, which I think is like after you read Heart the Lover, read that. They're related, but you don't need to have read one before. But it's quite literary. Like the writing is really, really beautiful, and I will be thinking about that book for such a long time.
Oh, my God.
I love that.
Heart the Lover by Lily King. Do it.
I did not do a lot of reading in the holidays because I was writing. So all my moments when I was meant to be reading, I was writing. I did reread Wuthering Heights. We're going to discuss that when Wuthering Heights comes out.
When does that come out?
And a few great books.
Is that soon?
February.
12th, I think.
I know that in the US and in the Northern Hemisphere it's coming out for Valentine's Day. I have many thoughts about that.
Okay.
But so because of the nature of that part of my summer, I am just going to recommend another glowy skin product. Because I recommended one before the holidays and Out Louders liked it.
People love your recommendations.
I was like, this is my thing. All I want to look like is like I've been mainlining broccoli and sleeping well. And let's be honest, neither of those things are happening. So the one I recommended, the foundation I recommended at the end of last year, it was an Exie.
Many people bought that.
Treat. They did, and lots of Out Louders talking about it, which is great, but it was an Exie treat. This is not an Exie treat, so it's good for the New Year budget. L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. Did you ever use that?
I've never heard of this one.
So it's not really a foundation. It's like a tinted moisturizer, but I just put it where I need it. So the way that I do my face these days, probably influenced by lots of people on the internet, is instead of necessarily just getting my foundation and slapping it everywhere, I'll be a bit more like
Strategic.
And maybe I will put my foundation on, but then I'll put something a bit glowy on my cheeks, or maybe I'll just put concealer and then over the holidays I'm obviously not sitting around in a full face of foundation, but suddenly you're like, oh, I've got to go somewhere. So instead it's just a bit of anyway. Paula Joy was wearing this product when she came into. I interviewed her last year about the grief of losing her mum, and she was really glowy. And when she left, I said, "What's with this glowiness?" And she said, "L'Oreal Lumi Glotion." And I was like, right. I put a note in my phone, forgot all about it. Then I was in a Priceline recently. It's $20. Like It's not expensive at all. I got it. I love it. I put it on my cheeks and a bit on my forehead, and you're just like glowing. But it is a tinted moisturizer, so you could put it everywhere if that's your vibe.
So you don't wear it with a foundation,
well,
but you would
if you want.
Okay.
So you could put some foundation on, and then you could put a bit of this on, or you could just wear this, or, I'm kind of put it where you want it.
Yeah, play with it.
It's if you want a bit of shine, because it is quite glowy, it's very glowy, and you don't always want to be glowy everywhere.
Yep.
But it can be, because it is officially a tinted moisturizer. So and it comes in lots of shades, as L'Oreal things do, and it's $20, and that is my Recco.
I love that. At the beginning of this year, before we came back to work, I went on a little bit of a escape. I went to one of those tiny homes where they don't really disclose the location until the day of, and you have to drive there and then follow a little physical map.
That's friction maxing.
It was friction maxing.
What was it like? Did you enjoy it?
Okay. It was really nice. Being at the place was really, really nice, but it was so friction maxing where I had to hike from my car with all my stuff to the cabin, and it was down this really, really steep hill. And the whole thing was friction maxing, including the toilet. And the only issue I had was I have to have a coffee every morning. That's my one thing. I know they said it's bad to have coffee the minute you wake up, but it's my one joy, and I'm never giving it up.
Prize it from my cold, dead hands.
When I did a hike through Tasmania that I was really looking forward to, I was like, I had to send an inquiry.
Yeah, and there needs to be coffee.
I need a coffee, and also not just any coffee. I need a good Zero Barista.
I need a small 8 flat white. I couldn't get a small 8 flat white at my little cabin, but they had this little pot that I thought was a French decoration, because I've seen it in movies. And then I realized, they expect me to make coffee in this little pot.
A mocha.
A mocha. Is that what it's called? I thought it was mocha.
No, it's a mocha.
Mocha pot.
I love mochas. I use mochas all the time. They make it. I've got a mocha necklace. Look at my mocha necklace.
Oh my God.
I got it for my birthday because I
am
love
a newly
mochas.
convert, because I made this coffee. I figured out how to make it. I've never been so proud of myself of making this coffee that took 10 minutes.
Did it need paper?
No. Tell Jessie how it works. So
and this was
I love that you've never embraced it.
Do you need a stove?
You need a stove.
All right.
You need a stove and hot water. So you need, it felt like I was in an escape room.
And
so
coffee.
I was like, something's missing. And then I was like, oh wait, there's coffee beans, but the coffee beans can't go straight in. And then I was like, oh wait, there's a coffee grinder there. Grind the beans physically. Got a little
Did you
arm
have
workout.
reception to ask ChatGPT how to make a coffee in a mocha?
I had reception, but I was doing the whole no thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I did have to kind of turn it on for 1 bar to watch a YouTube video of a man teaching me how to do it.
Okay,
So,
good.
But I only did it once.
I
only did it once, and then I remembered what I
You
did.
put the water in. You put
Hot
the
water,
coffee
you
in.
put water in, then you put the coffee grinds, and then you put it on the stovetop, and then you check it, and then it's like magic, because somehow the water from the bottom comes to the top with the coffee.
What?
It's
You've never
weird.
come across a coffee pot in your lives.
It is so wild.
Maybe it's a European thing, because I grew up with a mocha on the stove at home. It smells
so good. And the coffee tastes amazing. I honestly thought whenever I saw these pots, it was decoration only. I didn't actually think anything happened in there. But then I came home, immediately ordered one from Maya.
And then this is so weird, because I got my mocha necklace, but I also got a new mocha for Christmas from Brent, a red one, because our mocha, we always have a mocha, often have a little one for making one coffee and a big one for making lots. And what you do, this is what the posh people do in France.
No, teach me.
Leave the lid open.
Yeah.
As it bubbles up, and then as it starts coming out, you close the lid, turn the heat right down, and it'll slowly come out, and it'll be a bit creamier.
Okay.
And then, so you put whatever milk you want in it, but it's strong coffee, and it is heaven.
But
I'm
you
so
put
happy
the
you've
milk in the
discovered a
cup,
mocha.
right? So you
Yes.
put the.
Oh
okay.
no, you don't put the milk in there.
No. It it's changed my life.
And it
That's
makes
amazing.
And it's so friction maxing because you spend 10 minutes doing it.
It is. And you were talking about before the break, you were talking about making your house smell nice.
Yeah.
It's a classic maneuver for that. You put a mocha on the stove, it makes your house smell lovely. And anyone who walks in is like, I'd like to pay lots of money for this house, please.
Oh,
Smart.
that's
It's so
incredible.
good.
I'm so impressed.
I've got a little blue one. You got a red one?
Oh, we have to post pictures of our matching mochas. I love that.
cute.
Okay, we've had a very friction. We've maxed a lot of friction today. Out louders, please tell us your recommendations for friction maxing joy. Before we go for the week, we do have to tell you about subs and what happened this week. Big deal. Hey, Jessie.
Yeah. So yesterday's subscriber episode is with Mia and you two talking about Heated Rivalry, the biggest show of the summer that everyone's yelling at me about, and also Taylor Swift's End of an Era tour documentary.
Yeah.
That's the 6-parter that dropped. Mia was desperate to discuss. There's a link to that episode in the show notes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.